Kunkel here. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel and set the notification bell to all so that you won't miss any of my new content. On this episode of Global Topic, I'm going to be talking to Matt Riley from Carlisle Fluid Technologies. Matt and I will be talking about application technologies of liquid and powder coatings. Matt, welcome to the episode.
Thank you for having me, Jim. I appreciate it.
No problem. Hey, Matt, if you could go through your role and a little bit about Carlisle Fluid Technologies.
Sure. My name is Matthew Riley, like you said. I work for a division of Carlisle companies called Carlisle Fluid Technologies. And just to give you some background about Carlisle, we're a global diversified manufacturing company. And last year, we employed roughly 16,000 people across the globe and generated revenue close to $5 billion. And the division I work for is called the Fluid Technologies Division. And I represent 5 historic brands of equipment. Binks, which invented the first cold press air spray system back in the 1890s. DeVilbiss, which invented the atomizer back in the 1800s as well. Ransburg, which invented the electrostatic technology of painting. And MS, which is our powder coat line, and BGK, which is our curing and conveying equipment. And I cover 4 states in the United States, and my territory keeps me busy in the protective coatings world because I cover Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama.
Very interesting. Hey, Matt, what are some of the technologies that are available to for the application of liquid and powder coatings?
Sure. How much time do you have? Not much, right?
Keep it 15, 20 minutes or less. How about that?
Okay. All right. Well,
perfect.
Well, I like to group the technologies into 3 different categories. The cool thing about my job is that not only am I limited to the protective coatings industry where it keeps me busy in my territory, but I also go into general industrial, and I go into transportation and other industries like the wood industry. So I get to see it all, the whole full gambit of all the different technologies. And so, like I said, I like to group the technologies into 3 different divisions. There's the automatic and the manual spray technologies. That's one group. And then the other group is the fluid delivery technology, like the pressure pot or the airless pump or whatever supplying that material to the applicator. And then the other technology group that I like to categorize the equipment into is the applicator technology, which I'll discuss in more detail regarding your question, because I think that's what you were wanting to ask me about the applicator technology. And there's 5 different applicator technologies that are prevalent in the Carlisle Fluid Technologies product offerings. Air spray is one of them, which under air spray, there's conventional LVMP and HVLP technology. And all 5 different technologies have its advantages and disadvantages. So when you're looking at which technology to use, you have to ask yourself a whole gambit of questions in order to kind of narrow down which technology will work best for you, depending on which goals you want to accomplish. Do you want to save money? Do you want to increase productivity? There's a whole list of items that a customer might want to improve their process with. But air spray is one technology. The advantages of that is there's more control at the applicator. You could adjust your fan pattern and you have more control of the fluid coming out of the applicator. And then another technology is airless technology, which is a high pressure technology. That one of the advantages of that technology is speed of production and square footage. So if you have a large area and you need to coat it very fast, airless technology would be one technology that you would look at. And then air-assisted airless is kind of a mixture of air spray and airless. That's the third technology. And that's prevalent a lot in the wood industry because it'll give you that high production rate and that fine finish. But one disadvantage of that technology would be that the higher the viscosity of the coating, then the higher pressure you have to go. And once you get to a certain pressure, fluid pressure rating, then you would want to switch over to a direct airless technology. And then there's powder coat technology, which is the most economically green technology because you could recycle and reuse the powder. You basically have zero waste, and it's good for the environment. That's the advantage of that technology. The disadvantage of that is it's a large investment because you have ovens that you have to invest in. But the fifth technology would be electrostatic equipment, and that's similar to powder coating, but it's for the wet liquid coatings that you want to apply. And that technology is really prevalent in the automotive industries, like the OEM plants that make in automobiles and ATVs, and high production, high transfer efficiency, high quality finish.
So how important is it for a contractor or a paint shop, to keep up on and use newer technologies and the application equipment? If you could go through some of that.
Sure, that's a great question, Jim. I always compare technology to real world. It's changing around us every single day, and our industry is not unique. We're not immune to that fact. And we're, as a company, Carlisle Technologies is developing and spending a lot of money in R&D to come out with new products that are cutting edge. And then also we're taking a look at some of our past technology and improving on that based on customer feedback and field testing and just data that we've had for the past 100 years on certain products. But it's very important that customers invest in new technology because if they're not doing it, their competitors are doing it, or they're losing a lot of money or leaving a lot of money on the table. There's reasons to invest in new technology, like to improve transfer efficiency. And Ransburg is a brand of Carlisle Fluid Technologies, and it's our electrostatic equipment brand. And we have the world's highest transfer efficient spray applicator in the whole entire world, up to 98% transfer efficient. So if you could save a whole bunch of money on paint, if you're spending hundreds of dollars of a gallon on a paint, you want to look at new technologies in order to cut that cost. And then there's also technologies that we develop that are for user fatigue. So more ergonomic spray guns, like our Trophy spray gun by Binks. It's more ergonomic, it's lightweight. The painter, if he's spraying with the manual applicator, is going to be less tired and get more work done. And then there's technologies like data-driven technologies. A lot of companies right now are looking for data to improve their processes. And so we have a piece of equipment called the Binks Gems unit. And I mean, that piece of equipment will not only mix the two components together for you when you pull the trigger on demand and reduce the amount of waste you have when you're mixing plural component equipment, paint, but it'll also tell your painter how many times he triggers. So it'll give the paint manager feedback on ways to improve and train his painter better. But that's just a few technologies that we have, and there's plenty more, but it's always best to at least take a look at new technology and try it and see if it'll improve your processes, because if you're not doing it, someone else is doing it, or you're leaving a whole bunch of money on the table.
That's a great point to put out there. So I had the opportunity to take a look at the Carlisle FT website, and such a diverse and extensive list of different types of equipment. When it comes to all that equipment, the technology and the specialization of that equipment, what type of training is there typically required for the applicator?
Training is key in order to advance your career within the industry that you're working in. Carlisle Fluid Technologies, my job, if I sell a piece of equipment through one of my authorized distributors, I go out there and I support the setup of that equipment and give the painters free training and free preventative maintenance training and free training on how to rebuild it the first time that they need to rebuild. So that's just a value-added service that I offer. But there are specific training courses, like Jim, for different industries and different roles within painting and sandblasting. SSPC has quite a list of training courses that I've personally been through some of them, and I've can attest to training as being very important in order to advance your career, because I started out as a sander, sanding parts in between coats more than a decade ago. And then I was an industrial painter for a number of years. And then I worked my way up into management and estimating, product management, sales. And now I know everything about paint equipment, because Carlisle is a great company and one of the best jobs I've ever had in my life. And I've only got to this point because of my SSPC and NACE certifications is a big factor. So I would recommend a C12 from SSPC to get certified for air spray and airless technology painting.
Very good. Yeah, appreciate the story too, where you started off as an applicator, working in the shop environment out in the field, all the way up through management ranks, and then obviously now in your current position with Carlisle Fluid Technologies. Matt, you're also very instrumental in the SSPC Gulf Coast chapter, and I believe this fall here in 2020, there is going to be a painters competition and other event as well. Would you want to talk about that as well?
Sure, Jim. I do volunteer for my local chapter, the SSPC Gulf Coast chapter. And about 3 years ago, I started a painters competition in the Gulf Coast that's held every September in Louisiana. And we travel and visit different areas in Louisiana, so it's not always at the same place. This September of 2020, on September 19th, we have the painters competition. It's going to be held in Lake Charles at a company called Planet Pipeline, who's offered their facility to host the event. And we have 10 teams come out and compete. And each team is compiled of a painter, a painter helper, and a foreman. And they've all got the same test panels in front of them. And they've got 30 minutes to do their toolbox meeting, to mix their paint, and then to apply their paint and clean up, while SSPC and NACE judges are watching them and observing them and grading them on how they do. And at the end of the event, the top 3 teams win cash prizes, scholarships to SSPC courses, and bragging rights for the year. And we put them up in a hotel the night before, and we have a casino night in Lake Charles this year the night before. So it's a family event. You could bring your whole family out there. It gives them an opportunity to see what you do for a living on a daily basis. And then there's bounce houses for the kids, face painting, snow cones, free food. It's a great time. And we also host other events like a golf tournament each year, which is the week after the painters competition. And we give the awards from the painters competition at the golf tournament. And then we also have lunch and learns every month of the year, with different vendors come out and train on different technologies of their expertise. And we give away scholarships throughout the year to our members of our chapter. And so I just highly recommend getting involved. It's a great networking community, and it's a great way to educate the future of the industry.
Wow, it sounds like a lot of fun, and it's really great to see the outreach of the SSPC chapter in the Gulf Coast region. Matt, in kind of closing out this interview, is there anything that we did not talk about that you would want to cover with the viewers?
I was going to mention the SSPC Gulf Coast chapter, but you beat me to it, Jim. If you are interested in new technologies or trying new technologies, I highly recommend you reaching out to your local Carlisle Fluid Technologies account manager, and they'll be able to steer you in the right direction.
Great. For the viewers of the episode, I will put the link for Carlisle Fluid Technologies website, which will also get you the point of contacts that Matt just talked about. Additionally, I'll put the link for the SSPC Gulf Coast chapter. Matt, are you guys still looking for sponsors and participants, or are you guys all set?
Yes, still looking for sponsors for our painters competition and golf tournament, and we're always signing up teams. We have up to 16 test pedals, so we could have up to 16 teams. Typically, we have 10 teams each year compete. So sign up a team. Just contact me if you want any more information on any of the events that we host in the SSPC Gulf Coast chapter area. Great,
and Matt's information will be on the SSPC the chapter page, where I'll put the link in the description, the video description below. Matt, I very much appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, have a great day.
You too.